Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. And some very, very bad news out of the Springbok camp as Andre Pollard and Lekanya have both left the squad and will return to their franchises for the recovery of their injuries, ruling them both out for the remainder of the Rugby Championship. Two positions where arguably we have the least amount of depth in, and both going to be very big absentees for the Springboks over the next 3 matches of the Rugby Championship. Before we sort of go into some of the details and what this means for the squad, please do smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. So yesterday, on the back of the announcement of the squad, we saw that there were 4 players that were ruled out for this weekend. They were Andre Pollard, Lekanya both with knee injuries, and then Peter Steph Toy also with the knee injury, and Elton Jantjies with the hand injury were not available for this coming weekend. But what we didn't know was sort of the extent of the injury. Now, there was a rumor going around that Pollard and were both going to be sort of 6-week recoveries, and that kind of seemed to appear to be true, given the fact that they have both been released, which means that Pollard will return to England, back to the Leicester Tigers, where he's just signed, and Lekanya will return back to South Africa, where he will complete his rehab with the Sharks down in Durban. However, Elton Jantjies, Peter Steph Toy have remained in the squad, and they are expected to be able to make a full recovery in time for the 2 Argentina tests, which is a bit of a small silver lining. The big news is that no players at this stage will come into the camp. So Jacques Naba saying it was always unfortunate to lose players in the squad, but this opened the door for other players to step in and showcase what they can do in these positions. We will now have 32 players in camp, and with Elton expected to recover for the match against Argentina, and players such as Andre Esterhuizen and Jesse Creel and France Steyn all being capable centres, we are well covered. Our plan from the outset of the season was to give the most of the players in our expanded squad game time as we build towards the Rugby World Cup, and this involves rotating a few players, so we'll use the opportunities to build our depth. Now, the big news in terms of whether they will bring in players into the squad is that the original idea was supposedly that there was supposed to be other players. The squad that was announced now, for example, was the squad for Australia, for the 2 Australian legs. Now, after this weekend, there is then a 2-week break before the Springboks take on Argentina on the 17th and the 24th of August. And the idea is that there's going to be potentially a different looking squad that was then going to go to Argentina. So the likes of an Evan Roos, for example, who was left behind, could be going to Argentina or could be used for the home test against Argentina in Durban. Because, as I said, they have been looking to try and use the extended squad. However, what will be interesting to see is whether they, depending on how Damian Willemse goes this weekend, for example, do they look at bringing in an extra fly half? Because they only named 2 out-and-out fly halves in the squad, and both of them were injured this weekend, which is why Damian Willemse, who is a utility back within the squad in terms of what his role is suddenly going to be running out at fly half. And if it doesn't go well, there could very well be a case to try and bring in an extra fly half to try and add to that depth. This now also sort of puts a lot of pressure on the end of your tour, because we're talking about 6-week recovery time for these 2 players. That takes us to about mid-October, and with the end of your tour kicking off in the sort of first week of November. So if both of these players have any sort of injury setbacks, then suddenly we could have an end of year tour without Lekanya and Andre Pollard. Lekanya probably the most important player to the Springboks, and a player who is probably vying for World Player of the Year with the type of form he's been in. So 2 very big losses as well, because Pollard, when he's playing well, is very important to the box setup. However, for example, last weekend didn't have his best game, so maybe is an opportunity now to sort of test the depth and stuff like that. So the Springboks were under a lot of pressure, potentially going to a match, and they could, on the back of 2 consecutive losses, a 3rd consecutive loss would be an absolute disaster. And they've had lots of injuries in very key positions when you think of, there being 3 injuries within the 14 position, no Bongi Manambi in the hookers, and now 2 fly halves being ruled out, your outside centre being ruled out, and positions where we don't necessarily have the most depth. For example, in the loose forwards, Peter Steph Toy's been injured, but you still got Frank Master, still got Albert Lowe, that's not even going to Reynald Alstad, let alone looking at an Evan Roos, and Kwaka Smith still off the bench. So there's lots of opportunities and players at loose forward. But I think the Springboks have been very unlucky in that they've had injuries in positions where they might not have had the depth that they would like. I mean, for example, at wing at 14, we've had the depth, but there are literally 3 or 4 players who are unavailable, who have been unavailable throughout the Rugby Championship. So a very big blow for the Springboks. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Smash like on the video as well. Can the Springboks do it without Lekanya? We're going to have to do the last 3 games, and a big opportunity for Jesse Creel, who will probably get 3 consecutive matches in that 13 jersey. So a massive opportunity for him to sort of step up and try and prove himself. Same as Damian Willemse at 10, and if he doesn't go out well at 10, you'll probably expect to see Elton Jantjies at 10 for the 2 Argentina games, which would be a big opportunity for him, for example, to improve on his performances from this year and stake a claim to be in contention at the end of year tour, and to make sure that he's still in the World Cup plans. But yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments below, and smash a like on the video as well.
Bye.